Alright, greetings everybody and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be talking about news. It is news time, the newsiest news of the week. And my camera moved over slightly. I keep opening the window because it gets a little warm in here. And keep pushing that camera just more and more behind my monitor, I guess. So today we are going to be looking at JP. And then in another video, we'll be talking about global stuff because keeping it separate is keeping it fresh. All right, so getting on to the big news, and I actually am kind of impressed with this week because it's a Veritas week, which means more difficulty trying to earn these guys. Fire Veritas will be coming to the game, at least his data will be coming into the game with the most latest JP update. That update is probably going to be not obtainable right away. I know that JP has a limited time event coming up, or limited cost event, which is probably going to mess with getting this guy's shards, unfortunately. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see whether or not this is easily obtainable compared to the previous Veritas. Kind of go from there. We'll give it a fresh shot, but complain about it when it sucks. We also had the new vision card this week, which is kind of a surprise because it is a new vision card with a brand new Esper. I think that this Esper is not even in, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that this Esper I've ever seen in FFBE history or Final Fantasy history, although not specifically new design. So let's jump down to this, as it does pertain to Gilgamesh, so we can talk about it. So it is a holo VC. It is 60 cost, which is, you know, what we expect. It's a job VC. It is not a 90 cost job Esper, or 90 cost Esper VC, which is kind of nice. It means that it does have a slightly lower cost to it. We are looking at 4 weapon types on this one. That's not good. My USB is sticking to my phone. Blah. Anyway, taking a look. We are for sword with Red Mage, so that's basically Gilgamesh's group. Bows, fists, and katanas, which is very interesting. Hey, you know, Sephiroth was a good new katana user. Are we trying to pair 2 really strong units together? I don't know. For Ice, Bow is pretty interesting because Ice does have access to those type of characters. And Fist isn't particularly terrible either since Tifa is related to that. But let's talk about what this VC is giving you. So, party-wise, it's giving you speed up as well as critical damage up, as well as maxing out the VC will give you magic power up. So first off, it's a primary speed VC. These are terrific. These are absolutely fantastic, always. The Sword Red Mage also has a little bit of crossover with some purchase-specific water characters that enter into the Red Mage era, so that's pretty interesting. It's also neat that, I mean, it's interesting the direction this VC is taking. It's not towards Uldoa. Not that that was particularly needed, but it does kind of potentially push this into some reasonable acquisitions for types of characters that this could be paired with. Also, for duels only, increase reaction prevention rate, as well as the granted effect of person killer up. So basically, whatever unit has this equipped, this gets human killer. And it doesn't say physical human killer, it doesn't say magic human killer, it's just human killer. I mean, I assume that given that this is essentially coming out around Gilgamesh, that it is focused more towards Gilgamesh. I mean, it is a magic damage up primary card, which this doesn't particularly use that well. Bow almost doesn't use that well. Rosa people time to shine? Unlikely. But Katana as well is kind of interesting. There's a fair bunch of synergy here across multiple different characters, maybe even across multiple different elements. This actually kind of works into bringing Gilgamesh and Dario together, curiously enough. So Sure, why not? We're also getting 4 maxing out the VC for duels, ice attribute attack up by 2 and critical damage up by 2. So it's a nice, well-positioned VC. I mean, agility VCs are never to be looked down upon, almost ever. And the 60 cost job VC is going to get a really nice speed bonus. So Gilgamesh was already looking pretty fast, and maybe this is why the friend unit didn't have that speed bonus, because the speed bonus he might get off of this is looking pretty good. Then we have to talk about the Chariot Esper, which is a ice-based Esper. It's almost certainly going to be a magic slash type Esper, if I had to guess. And we're looking at the Esper giving Frostbite. We're looking at, effectively benefiting ice-based characters. So it is what it is, and it generally looks pretty good right now. I'm curious with just the general theme of like a chariot with twin horses on it, whether it's going to be a super, super fast Esper. Almost certainly probably not as fast as some of the other Esper, because it is, attached to a 60 cost VC. But we'll have to wait and see. Either way, I'm curious about this, and I've got a bunch of Lapis to spend. So maybe this will be the thing that I go on just because. As for Fire Veritas, let's pop back up to him for a second. He is, of course, a 100 cost character. I assume that he will be in line with the other 3 Veritases that have come out so far. And curious to see precisely how good. I mean, he is part of the Axe group. In case you were curious, he will just fit directly into that. Not that it's super big or anything. But he does have some really strong synergy with Sephiroth out of the box, with his attacks being primary slashing. They are physical attacks as well. And curiously enough, I mean, you think about just the VCs that can potentially work with this. Speed VCs are already there. He also has fist-based attacks and spear-based attacks, which we'll be curious to see what works best for him. Maybe you're using the sub-jobs just for buffs as opposed to his main job, but we'll see. And with that, I actually erased my notes there, so let's check again. So, not going to have a limit burst, not going to have a weapon at the very start. Get all that stuff later. Taking a look at his first one, Violent Swing, which is a large diamond pattern AoE. Damage large to enemies, slash attack resistance penetration rate, as well as reaction prevention rate down for 3 turns. And a paralysis effect. It'll be curious to whether to see if he has a increased chance for paralysis, because otherwise, like, a strong physical-based attacker is almost certainly not going to be running High Faith. The paralysis, it can be nasty. It's one of those things that I swear I hit my opponents with it, and it never does anything for me. But when I get hit with paralysis, well, might as well. I've lost the game. So, good for other people, maybe not for me. But second ability gives Human Killer to self and allies for 4 turns, increases slashing attack resistance, survives once even if receiving fatal damage. So surviving fatal damage effect gives an effect that increases physical damage for 4 turns, and an additional effect if the survive fatal damage is in effect. Gives an effect that reduces damage received the wider the attack range. So not exactly buffable or dispellable if that survive fatal damage effect is in place. It's curious. I'm interested to see how he fits in with the current direction Fire is going, which is a mix of both magic and physical, whether this is generally better. Either way, he does seem like a natural bonus for Sephiroth, who wouldn't mind a Human Killer buff to increase the damage more than he is already doing. Some people were worried that Sephiroth wasn't doing enough physical damage, so maybe this unit is just going to be good. Whether he's relevant depends on how long it takes to actually get max character. And I am hoping that this one's going to be a little bit shorter because he is the last of the initial 4 before we get into the next set of 4, including Dark, Light, Ice, and Lightning Veritas. All of those we'll have to wait and see. But either way, it's going to be an interesting week poring over the data of Fire Veritas, as well as this new VC. Fire and Ice, going to be nice. All right, my rhyming is done. class match, as we already mentioned, will be taking place. Looks like we just have some additional rules to do with AoE resistance and whatnot, so maybe single target's just going to be generally better. Haven't really looked too much about that, and won't look too much about that anyway. Next up, the next one, the Fist, as well as, I believe it's the Katana, right? Will be getting upgraded, so the older version, you'll finally be able to bring 3 parties into it, and the new, more difficult one to upgrade these weapons will be also be available. So that's potentially interesting, and it will be interesting. This should come with Wind Veritas medals, so yeah, never mind, there it is right there. That's fine. I'm curious to see, because Tifa is already pretty damn good, and a improvement to the best Fist in the game in combination with everything else that we're seeing with Gilgamesh. This might actually be really good in combination with the new VC. Quite excited to see the end result of that. Also, something Katana. Moving on, Limit Burst upgrades. I think I talked about that previously. We're going to be getting some new Limit Bursts. I think Raph is in one of the groups. We'll check out all of that once that is out. So that's generally good. And I did have this somewhere. Screens. Yes, a raid revival. We'll talk about this the quick meantime. So yeah, raid revival will be coming back. It will feature a couple of, looks like we got the White Marshmallow as well as King Behemoth. If I remember, those were pretty exploitable, generally pretty easy to do on Ivan South, which is good. Yeah, so that will be something that people will want to do. And this is the one I just want to check because it wasn't available when I was looking at earlier, and it doesn't appear. Limit Burst Enhancement, Dream Enhancement for Veritas of Earth. So yeah, that was the one other thing that I was missing that I think was on schedule, but there it is. Earth Veritas will be getting his Dream Enhancement. We'll see what that's about, whether or not it improves him enough to be still super relevant, as he is quite a slow build, especially when, and I do want to repeat this, just on JP, you know, again, we're featuring 2 days off with no chance to earn Earth Veritas medals. It's frustrating, to say the least, as, you know, our guild wasn't particularly winning a ton, but just trying to get enough medals for this guy is proving to be a real pain in the ass. So, thanks, Gumi. Anyway, so that's a look at JP news. Between the Esper and Fire Veritas, that's probably going to be enough excitement for the coming week. But not only that, we do have some Limit Burst upgrades, which could be interesting, as well as just character upgrades for older characters. So, should be generally pretty good as we creep to the end of May and into E3 month, when we'll be getting Summer Games Fest, as well as, you know, presentations from Microsoft, Nintendo, and maybe this, you know, this week before we get to that month of June, maybe we'll get a Sony conference where I hear rumblings about Kingdom Hearts. I'm not a leaker, I'm just reporting what I kind of am getting, where the vibration is from. Don't quote me. Anyway, or quote me and give me a lot of fame and give me a lot of, you know, money, please. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Take care. See you next time.